Hi guys! In this video, I'll be showing you how I made my Albedo Panty Armour. This is the first part in my armor building series, so if you like this video and want to see the rest of the build, hit that subscribe button for future video releases. I start out by making my duct tape pattern, and what you don't see is me breaking my neck trying to see what I'm doing. Once I was done, I then drew a straight line down the center front and up the sides. I then drew a general outline of the shape of the panties. Now I'm only drawing on half of my body because we're going to mirror it over in the end. I'm using a finger as a guide to draw a line down the center back, and I'm just hoping that it turns out straight. After carefully cutting myself out from the side, I first cut the shape of the panty out. Then I connected the front center line to the back center line, which I then cut right down the middle. Now I had half the pattern, which I could now mirror, but first I had to cut the crotch in half to separate the front from the back. In the back, I had a bulge from where my butt was. I made a slit from the edge to the highest point of the bulge so that the pattern could lay nice and flat. I then traced the pattern onto paper, then transferred it to 12mm foam. I also added seam allowance to all 4 of the side seams. Now it's time to head outside. This was actually the 3rd time I was putting this together, because the first time I had to completely redo it because it was garbage, and then the second time my contact cement wouldn't work because it was too dried up, and now I'm doing it again. I needed to change the slope of the panty to match the reference, so I plotted it out, connected the dots, and cut the new edge. For the attachment, I used Velcro because 1, it's discreet, and 2, it was the only thing I had. I then made another duct tape pattern, but this time I'm covering the foam. This new pattern will account for the foam's thickness and provide a more accurate fit. Looking at the character design, I drew the shapes onto the pattern and then cut them out. Then holding my knife at an angle, I made V-shaped grooves in the back of the foam. I threw some contact cement in there, and ladies and gentlemen, I give you a bevel. I decided to further split the front bottom piece into 2 parts. I cut the bottom part out, leaving some space at the crotch to create some volume. Starting with the bottom part, I made a groove down the center, sanded the edges on an angle, and glued everything together. I then joined the top to the bottom, and I got this cool edgy shape. I didn't realize there was going to be a gap when I was patterning, so I had to finish off the edges. Then I just smothered everything with contact cement and put it all together. So now the front is done, let's move on to the back. I used the same method as I did in front. I covered everything in duct tape and drew the shapes out. Once I had my pattern, I simply cut it out and transferred it to foam. So naturally, something must go wrong, and when I was angling the 2nd and 3rd back pieces, I made a whoopsie.
You had one job.
After beveling the crotch, I attached it to the base panty. For the top part of the back, I had to add an extra edge so I could increase the volume of the bevel. This extra edge got sanded to an angle, and I connected the 2 pieces. And finally, after 2 failed attempts, I attached it all to the main panty. And of course, I didn't forget to sand those edges.